Hey guys, or hey again, I should say, because I'm actually just filming this video right after I filmed the last one. And in that last video, I talked about some more remedial type skills. I wanted to talk about how to get a figure eight clean and well dressed, and in doing so, I kind of just ended up teaching how I like to teach the whole thing. So I thought maybe as long as I'm here and I actually have my gym bag for when I work in the climbing gym, with a bunch of different belay devices, for example, as well as my guiding bag. I actually have a lot of ATCs here that I can talk about with loading the device. And now I'm not going to talk specifically about how to load each and every one of these because it all follows the same principle. But I have noticed something in these devices aren't quite the same, but I have noticed with these more advanced, shall we say, devices where the pictures on the side can get a little confusing for first-time users. So I did want to actually point that out. And then other than that, just talk about my methodology for when I teach people how to load the rope into the ATC in hopefully a concise and clear manner. So here we are in crotch view. I'm going to start with the more common devices that you get, that you see get loaded up. The most standard device you can have. Every company makes something like this. This is by BD, and I've been buying a number of these things for client use. And I actually like to, since these grooves right here get really annoying even for clients to rappel on, my goal is to rappel on these until the grooves get worn down a little bit, and then I think they'll be perfect for client use. Yeah, I've been picking these up at like Play It Again Sports and places where I can get them for like 10 bucks or something just for client use, and I got a bunch of them now. But this is your standard like ATC. This is as cheap as it gets, and I think this will be just about on every gym's rental fleet in one way or another. This is by BD, but Petzl is a very common one. Camp makes a really good one. So yeah, just like standard tuber. I start with, when I'm teaching this, get my leg loops centered, I start with just naming the things. So it's obvious, like, oh, okay, what is this thing called? Locking carabiner. What is this ATC? And then I say, go ahead and take the locking carabiner and clip it onto the big vertical loop right here. You'll notice that there is a big side and a small side. So you're going to clip it, and then you're going to flip it so that way the big side is facing towards the ground. That's as easy as it gets. ATC, you can hold it like so, just vertical like this with the two holes, and then you lift up the carabiner, clip it into the ATC, and let the whole thing hang. Yep, as simple as it gets. I'll grab my top rope right here. Maybe a side view would be easier. What I can do is I can bend the rope. Yeah, and you'll notice how the top of the bend goes to the top of the wall, and the bottom bend goes to the end of the rope right there. And I'm not going to twist it or anything. I'm going to lift up that ATC without putting any twist, just straight out. And there's a left and a right side. Go ahead and pass that through the right side of the device, just like so. And then now I can drag this rope down to meet the same thing as this keeper wire right here. And I can take the carabiner and then just capture both the rope and that black keeper wire, and then I can finally lock it down. There we have it. So the way how I can check this device to make sure I loaded it up properly is I can start with climber side, or side to the top of the wall on top, side to the ground on bottom. I have three things in my locking carabiner. I have this black keeper strap, I have the rope, and my belay loop. And then finally my carabiner is locked, and we like to do the cicada test with that, where we're just like clicking away. So there we have it, right? Subject of the video, totally done. If you just wanted to know how to load an ATC, you can turn this off now. But if you want to take a look at some other devices that are all ATCs in general, then stay tuned. Okay, so let's bump it up a notch now to this ATC, the BD XP. I don't know if they still call it that now because it looks way different. But the only difference with this ATC is you have a little tooth groove right there. And so the teeth are there to add extra friction on the brake strand. The more modern ATC XPs actually have a picture like this one. Oof, that's a little scratched out. Hang on, I can find a better one. This one? Oof, this one's scratched too, but you see the little picture of a climber and a hand? Well, you can't really see the hand there. What about this one? Climber and a hand. Maybe I'll actually just add in a picture so that way you guys can see what I'm talking about from like Google Images. But either way, so the hand would be here and the climber would be here if you were to go out and buy one of these right away. What a lot of people don't exactly know is that if I were to accidentally or choose to load this the opposite way, like so that way my brake hand is on the climber's side and my climber's going up here, the device still functions perfectly normal and it's still just as safe. I mean, it's essentially the same as this. So this is totally kosher, and a number of people will choose to do this if they're belaying someone who's a bit lighter, like a child, for example. However, if I'm belaying someone who's a little bit heavier, or if I'm rappelling and I'm a little bit heavier, or if I just want that extra braking power, I can load it up the way it's recommended. Climber side out the non-tooth side, and the brake side on the tooth side. Then other than that, everything is exactly the same for belaying. So it's just a small variation on that last ATC. All right, so now we can move into the more advanced type devices that I call them advanced, but you know, they're just more capable because they have that ring right there. But this is the point I wanted to bring up with these two as my example. So if I go to the old tried and true black diamond one, it also has pictures. Can you see them? You sort of can. They moved the climber picture a little bit out of the way so it wouldn't get scratched off. And then you see a brake hand right there. And so this is like, yeah, your standard ATC guide. And I can choose, just like the ATC XP right here, I can choose to load it with my brake hand down on the teeth side or a brake hand on the climber's side. Incidentally, my teeth side don't actually have that much teeth left in them, and that's because I've rappelled on this enough, but now it's to the point that I really like them to minimize friction like that. You still have the channel there that'll add more friction. So I have that option. And if you look, it's brake, climber, and then the other side, it's brake and climber. They kept the pictures the same, and that's to help you out when you're loading it in belaying your lead, belaying from below mode, but it also helps you out in belaying from above. So anyway, this is the camp belay device, and this one's the DMM pivot, which is kind of famous for this thing. I still haven't reviewed this belay device. I really would like to because I actually really like it. So what these devices have done, it's the same on both of them, is you have a belay from below side, like if you were to belay a lead climber, right here, climber on this side, brake hand on this side. But if you flip them around, then all of a sudden it has a picture for belaying from above on it. And this one's a bit more clear. The camp one, slightly less clear. Let's see what that one has. Where we go. So this is the same belay from below, like top roping, climber, brake. If I flip it around, then we have, this one's extra weird, so brake and climber, but in that belay from above mode. Now, while that's great for beginners because they can actually like look at the pictures like, oh, climber, belayer, it does, in my experience, get confusing when it comes time to, when I'm teaching multi-pitch, for one, because sometimes it'll, just like the orientation of the pictures, make people clip the belay device to the anchor like this. And so it can be confusing for when you're learning to multi-pitch. And then on the other side, when I'm teaching people how to just top rope belay, it can be confusing for them also. Just like the separation of the pictures. And, you know, the great part about the Black Diamond one is it got the same point across, but it was just a lot more clear. Whereas these ones, they try to get a bit too fancy with them. It's just a little nitpick, but I mean, in the end, it's all the same. And this is learning the skill versus actually doing the skill. If you already have a lot of experience working with these devices in belay from above, then you would have had experience in belay from below. But it is just like a little thing I've noticed when I've been bringing these out with clients, teaching multi-pitch classes and whatnot, is like, yeah, there's been a little bit of weirdness when people are trying to go off of the pictures. Other than that, like if I were to rig it up to belay from below, me personally, I really just like to go with teeth side to my brake hand every time. Here, let me show you. So yeah, if you see me belaying, it's really like this every time. Like I said before, I try to wear out my teeth. What I do is I have like 5 or so different belay devices on standby that I sort of switch around between, but when I wear them out just the way I want them to be, like the teeth right there. Also, this GMM one has been worn down just the way I like it. You can see how the channels have gotten much bigger. Because of that, I've kind of worn down the friction enough that I just load them the same way every time. And there have been a number of times when I'm rappelling and I'll load them the opposite way. This has happened like a few times because I don't really load the opposite way too much to reduce some friction then. And then I've had to switch to ascending because I rappelled past the anchors like an idiot on a vertical wall. And then I had to switch to ascending, but since the ATC was upside down, I couldn't do that super easily. So I don't know, I kind of took that as my lesson, and now I just pretty much always have the teeth facing down. And yeah, sure, that means that this top part wears out a bit faster, but I still get plenty of use out of them. If you have different ways of teaching folks, then you can leave it in the comment. That's the way I like to do it. It seems very obvious, very kinetic, and you don't have as much twisting with the device. You don't have people loading things wrong or upside down or whatever as much. And so that's just what I've used over the years. But I do like to see some other ways that other people teach things. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. There goes Sean walking up. He's done 4,592 feet. He has 8 more feet to go.